Comments made by the host, co-host, segment host, special guest, listeners, social media followers, and advertisers do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the EMG Radio Show, its parent company, or affiliates. The EMG Radio Show is a live 2-hour talk show broadcasted on 91.5 The Rebel HD2 of UNLV. The biggest names in arts and entertainment, business, community, health, politics, sports, and more appear on the EMG Radio Show. We would like to thank some people who make the EMG Radio Show possible. Producers, Destiny Beavers and Beatrice Davis. Co-host, Cindy Parker and Destiny Beavers. Rebroadcast partner, No Strings Attached E-News. And 91.5 The Rebel HD2 of UNLV. EMG Radio Show has dedicated episodes from October 3rd through today, November 7th, 2016, to discussing national and Nevada politics. Political candidates whose name appear on the 2016 Nevada general election ballot have been invited to be interviewed on episodes, and unedited recordings are published online at emgradioshow.com. Being interviewed on EMG Radio Show does not signify an endorsement or support from its host, co-host, affiliates, or parent company, and EMG remains neutral in its candidate interview process. On today's episode, we will discuss predictions of the presidential and Nevada races. Right now, we have the opportunity to speak with Gennady. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing very well. Thank you very much, Andre, for having me on your show.
Thank you so much for coming on board. Now, we're going to go right into the questions for the sake of time here. What political party are you affiliated with?
I am affiliated with the Nevada Transhumanist Party, and my name is Gennady Stolyarov II.
And what is the mission of the Nevada Transhumanist Party, and what is your role at this organization?
I am the founder and chief executive of the Nevada Transhumanist Party. I founded the party with the encouragement of Zoltan Istvan, who is running for U.S. president with the U.S. Transhumanist Party. The Nevada Transhumanist Party advocates humanity entering its next stage of advancement through cutting-edge technological progress bolstered by rational moral philosophy. The party's mission is to advocate for widespread public acceptance of emerging technologies that can dramatically improve the human condition and overcome age-old problems. Examples of emerging technologies we advocate include research into life extension, genetic engineering, biotechnology, nanotechnology, autonomous electric and flying vehicles, economical alternative energy, vertical farming, space colonization, free and open source information, and educational tools, as well as automation of manual labor. We hope to see breakthroughs in each of these areas achieved within our lifetimes, which will hopefully be lengthened as a result. And furthermore, we support maximum individual liberty to engage in scientific and technological innovation for the improvement of the self and the human species. In a political context, we support the lifting of all artificially imposed barriers to such advancement. We also support a scientifically and morally enlightened population that can reason effectively and deploy technologies wisely.
Hi there, it's Cindy Parker. How are you today?
Doing well.
And welcome to our show. Are people ready for science and technology that enables one to overcome and avoid human death? And will pharmaceutical companies, churches, and others support this? If so, why not?
So most people's attitudes toward technology are a function of what they're familiar with. In every era, a minority of people, perhaps 30%, are willing to project forward and consider what is possible to achieve technologically and how it might be beneficial. Many of the rest are admittedly skeptical of emerging technologies until those technologies become embedded in everyday life. We find similar results in contemporary opinion polls regarding life extension or autonomous vehicles or augmented reality. This is not so much a result of a particular philosophical or religious outlook, as there are both secular and religious transhumanists as well as opponents of transhumanism. Rather, it is the result of a more fundamental tendency in individuals to view the uncertain future with either hope or fear. We, the Nevada Transhumanist Party, are the party of hope. Pharmaceutical companies will embrace life-extending medicines and techniques when short-term profit motives favor them. That is, when the underlying science and implementation processes become sufficiently reliable as to be scalable to a mass market. Until then, it is necessary for a smaller core of dedicated innovators, researchers, and activists to carry this torch while advancements are made to illustrate feasibility. And of course, once the first human lives beyond age 130, all pharmaceutical companies will take notice of this. As for religious groups, they will vary in their acceptance of life extension, but this is all ultimately a matter of theological interpretation. Many fundamental messages of major religions could be understood to be compatible with and even enthusiastic toward dramatically longer lifespans, but this would require overcoming more particular traditional attitudes toward life and death. Religions are not monolithic, and they are ever evolving. Many religions have adapted to technologies and moral advancements of past eras, for instance, with regard to acceptance of anesthesia, abolition of slavery, and women's rights. In each era, there is a spectrum along which various religious denominations will fall in terms of embracing or resisting progress. The key is to alter the external world so much in the direction of technological advancement that religious groups will need to interpret their message as compatible with technological advancement in order to stay relevant.
What are the Transhumanist Party's thoughts on artificial wombs or designer babies, the military controlling artificial intelligence, and the potential to create something with 100 times the intelligence of a human?
Very good questions. We strongly support both artificial wombs and designer babies. Growth of humans via artificial wombs, also known as ectogenesis, is the only sustainable and philosophically consistent solution to the abortion issue. I have sympathies with both the pro-life and the pro-choice positions on abortion. On the one hand, reproductive freedom is important, and people should have the full ability to choose whether, when, and how they reproduce. On the other hand, especially during the late stages of a pregnancy, its termination results in ending a human life. So currently there exists a tragic conflict between the liberty of the pregnant woman and the life of the unborn child. Ectogenesis would overcome that conflict by enabling the child to be brought to life without compromising the woman's body. So-called designer babies would be babies genetically engineered to be free of debilitating conditions such as Huntington's disease, Tay-Sachs disease, Down syndrome, and many genetic predispositions to cancer. A lot of lifespan variation in later life is also genetic, so imagine if all people could be genetically engineered to have at least the 115-year lifespans of the luckiest supercentenarians today, who seem, by the way, to reach those ages irrespective of lifestyle practices. A lot of people fear designer babies because they mistakenly believe that human enhancement means that everyone will choose the same attributes and there would be an arms race of sorts among people. I disagree with that prediction. Apart from universally desirable solutions to diseases and disabilities, there will be increased diversity in the attributes that people choose for themselves and their offspring, and we will have a much more interesting, varied world where people can pursue many more paths than are currently available. Artificial intelligence poses many opportunities, particularly in terms of automating rote, repetitive intellectual tasks, much like a lot of rote, repetitive manual labor has already been automated. My general view is that the threats regarding artificial intelligence are overblown. A lot of today's artificial intelligence is essentially a series of sophisticated algorithms, but mere algorithms nonetheless, which only adapt to the data they process. The output of the algorithms and the assumptions behind them still require human judgment and reason to interpret and deploy appropriately. So in the short term, the concern with the military or any large institution utilizing artificial intelligence would be with overly uncritical reliance on the output. For instance, an algorithm that identifies locations of enemy combatants but could easily be mistaken about a particular location due to faulty assumptions. In the longer term, the capabilities of artificial intelligence will improve, but it will remain exceptionally fragile. Even if an artificial intelligence system in several decades were to become comparable or superior to a human mind, it would still be dependent on a sophisticated and vulnerable technological infrastructure monitored by many human researchers. And greater intelligence, especially when unhampered by the flaws of evolved mammalian psychology, tends to correspond to greater morality. So I'm not concerned about a superintelligent AI becoming a rogue menace to humankind. I am concerned about the opposite scenario, that some Luddite humans would fail to recognize when such an entity has become self-aware and deserving of rights, and would try to destroy it out of fear. And this is why moral improvement of humans is so important in the coming decades. Humans' tribal fears of the other and of the new are our greatest threat in the new technological era, and we need to work to make sure that these ancient impulses do not destroy something beautiful and useful.
And we have about 2 more minutes until we take a break, but I want to know real fast, if designer babies, if that was perfected, what would be the impact on the hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, and the medical industry overall?
I think it would be a great business opportunity because genetic modifications or the applications of new medical techniques would be a booming field. And of course, these businesses and institutions would need to evolve away from their current business model toward a business model of the future, but such is the way of progress, and the companies and nonprofit organizations who stay ahead of that curve are ultimately going to be the beneficiaries. Those who resist the progress are going to be left behind.
Would you, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that. Would you please share your contact information with us for the party?
Absolutely. You can contact me personally via email at gennady@gmail.com. That's GENNADY STOLYAROVII@gmail.com. And you can also go to our Nevada Transhumanist Party Facebook group, where you can join the party, become a member. Membership is completely free. We are accepting of people who are simultaneously members of other political parties. And we even have an allied membership category for people outside of Nevada or people who are otherwise ineligible to vote but who wish to support our efforts in terms of contributing to discussions or contributing to setting up our events. And then I also invite people to read our Constitution and bylaws at www.rationalargumentator.com/index/Nevada-transhumanist-party/.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing information about the mission and some of the developments of the Transhumanist Party. We appreciate that.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure for me to discuss these important issues regarding emerging technologies that will have an impact on all of our lives going forward.
Wonderful. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in today to the EMG Radio Show, hosted by myself, Andre Haynes, co-hosted by Cindy Parker. And hello, Destiny Beavers, who's not with us in studio today, but she's listening. Today, we interview Councilman Bob Beers, Chris Hypock, Brett Pajunas, Steve Sanson, Bob Sullivan, Janine Hansen, Judge Janice Marshall, Janiti, and this show is going to be uploaded onto the website at emgradioshow.com in about an hour, so you'll be able to go there and listen to the archive show. Have a great night, bring your endeavors to life, and we'll see you next week.